Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to be doing a quick introduction of ground control energy solutions and basically our solutions that we're going to be providing to in our services. I'm going to try to share screen. Well, it will not let me. Andy, you're right. It will not let me share screen. So just wait for 1 second, everyone. And Andy's going to help me. He's going to be my remote for today. So let's just wait till Andy shares the presentation.
So hopefully everyone can see my screen now. If someone wants to give me a wave, a thumbs up, or a virtual high. Yeah, Paul Gunter, I see you give me a thumbs up. Thank you very much.
Perfect. So, all right. So I think we can make this a little bit interactive. So if you guys have any questions, any doubts, any concerns, any given moment or any slide, if you think that, there should be something else added, that we can perhaps work on, please do let us know. And obviously there's going to be a space for the Q&A. But if you feel like it, just at any given time, just stop or, raise your hand. And I think whoever is monitoring this, either Andy or Chloe, can unmute you guys and then we can move forward. So let's start, please. So Ground Control Energy Solutions, which is called GCES acronyms. Basically, we support customers to take control of their building energy and transition to their fleet, any kind of fleet. We are not discriminating any type of vehicle. So any kind of vehicle that's going to be transitioning into electric, we are here to help. The process helps them to reduce bills, deliver their environmental goals, and protect the value of their assets in a general aspect. So these are the pillars that ground control energy solutions are going to be focusing, broken down per segment. There's going to be an additional one. Hopefully, we can launch it very, very soon, which is going to be the consulting side of ground control energy solutions. So on the left-hand side, you can see EV and fleets. EV and fleets, we will break it down in terms of what specifically it means, but just a simple description of in bullet points where you can see is installation, design and build, EV charging infrastructure. This is something that we are looking now for a white label product. Energy management software. We're using a simple software at this moment, which is Monta or any other type, but hopefully in the near future, we can also come in and offer a white label software solution. Turnkey solutions, something that we're doing with BT now at this moment for OpenReach, where we will come in and fully finance the installation, charging infrastructure, do the surveys, and for a fixed fee on an accrued payment for either 3, 4, or 5 years. And point of connection, currently, we're not an ICP or we're not an IDNO. We can either go to the DNO, but for the purpose of it, we are going to be trying to do some framework agreements with an ICP and perhaps an IDNO so that they can deal with all our point of connections. And we just go and focus on what our core business is. Solar PV and battery storage is something that we're introducing as well, where we're going to be doing the installations. Team, I will explain that the actual team hasn't been here set yet, but we'll explain who will be in charge. We'll send out when this is completed, and we'll send out who is responsible for every single part of the segments that we're describing now. Design and build, we are also looking to get someone internally to come out and draft the designs. EV charging infrastructure is part of it because solar PV can connect directly to AC chargers or DC chargers, depending where you want the energy that's generated to be distributed, either back to the grid, to the building, or to the EV charging infrastructure. Energy management software, also something that we're looking at white labeling, or perhaps we just use the same manufacturers. And turnkey solutions. Turnkey solutions here is a bit of an early stage, but just because the project might be too big and the customer might not have the budget, doesn't mean we can't help them. Once we get to the slide of for battery and solar storage, I will talk about what we mean by turnkey solutions. Point of connection, again, if it needs a new point of connection for solar or PV battery storage, we will definitely, like I said, we will be signing very, very soon framework agreements with ICPs and IDNOs. The decarb of the business, this is something new as well, but we're going to be pushing this very, very heavily. And obviously with internal sister companies that we have, I would say, an advantage to this. So design and build EV charging infrastructure, part of it, energy management software, and turnkey solutions as well that we're going to be looking at point of connection. We'll get into more details of every single segment in the following slides. And maintenance. So maintenance, we've been discussing this, and hopefully we will be able to offer internal in-house maintenance 24/7. I can't give you an exact date when or if it's going to happen anytime soon, but we are working on this, and this will give us a big advantage as we are going to be able to come in and offer maintenance service to big charging manufacturers, big providers, even get ourselves into the footsteps of the charging bus infrastructure, where we can get into the Transport of London, etc. Next slide, please. Next. So installation services. If you ask someone, especially when I had my interview, what is ground control? What do they do? I initially had no idea. But once we started seeing them participating or seeing them doing installations, I'm like, okay, so they're an installation company. Yes, initially, and it continues perhaps to portray the same image as an installation company, but that's surely slowly going to be changing, and we're going to be transforming into a whole energy management system solution where we break it down per segment, as in previous slide. So tailor-made installation service for any kind of business. Like I said, there's no too small or too big that we can't do at the moment. Most of the installations that we do, the majority of the services are carried out internally. Some of the installations are done by ourselves, and the majority with our partners. Um, Whether or not we move to internal DC installations, that'll be the next step, something that, we're still in the process of designing an own infrastructure. But like I said, anything related to installations, we have a survey team that goes out, carries out the site survey, passes on directly to another team that is responsible for buying the materials, and then selecting the third party installation where they will go out and carry. Everything is carried out and overseen by our project managers. And like I said, we are a face client, so we guarantee the work, and health and safety, we oversee that aspect as well. Next slide, please. So electrification of fleets. The majority of the people that are transitioning their fleets, when they go either online or Google and say, how do I transition my fleet? There's several ways that, they can go on and Google and type and try to get some information. But the majority will type in net zero, transition fleets, fully financed charging infrastructure, or workplace scheme, which was still available as local government grants. The process is very, very, very simple for us. There is an assessment of the fleet of how many vehicles are going to be transitioning, how many are going to be purchased, when the vehicles are going to be delivered. Moving on to the installation side, before we do the installation, we will need to find out, okay, the charging profile. So the people that are transitioning to electric fleet, what kind of business is it? Is it a 24-hour business where they're operating day and night? Or is it a 9 to 5 where the vehicles are going to stay in the single depot? If they are, they can charge overnight. So there's no need to offer DC charging. But in some circumstances, they might want it because they could make some kind of extra revenue out of it. And we'll talk about business models forward. When it comes to support, obviously they're going to need a back end to look at all this information, what it compiles, what is equal, what is a driver, which van or which car is being used, how many kilowatts each vehicle is being consumed, charging profile of it, and based on that, what does it mean in terms of kilowatt per hour? It means a price. And then maintenance, very, very important. Like I said, this is another business segment that we're going to be offering as well. Maintenance, it will be either in a package base, tailor-made, depending on the SLAs that every client needs. Some of the benefits, reduce your carbon footprint. Obviously, everyone's trying to, decarbonization, net zero objectives, whether they do it through the fleet transition or they buy footprints. Maintenance expenses, obviously, you're buying an electric vehicle, the expenses reduce, lower carbon emissions, enhance your reputation as well, and showcase your net zero slash CSR. So that's CSR's corporate social responsibility. Next, please. I come from, so for people that don't know me, I come from Enel. Enel was probably until last year the biggest renewable energy company in the world, and I was responsible for carrying out big electrification of depots, and that includes buses with public transport and e-trucks. So this is something new that I'm not saying 100% we're going to be targeting, but if the opportunity comes and we are obviously ready, we will go after it. Um, not just in the side of maintenance, not just the side of offering the DC charging infrastructure, but also carrying out the whole installation process, which means point of connection. We're not going to be financing the buses. We're not an asset company, or maybe there we will get a finance partner to do this, but eBus, public, and e-trucks is something that's on the rise. And you will see there are several government funds. There's still European funds that a lot of UK companies have tapped into. And there are local investors and funds that actually coming in, including charging infrastructure providers that are offering the transition very, very easy. How? They're offering the finance. So this is something that we can touch later down the line. We'll include more information on how to transition for an e-bus, any public transport. Public transport is probably the easiest one. That will come through either a public tender where a local authority has 20, 30, 50 vans. They use them for transportation, they use them for maintenance, and they usually have local depots where the vans will sit. So they're only working 9 to 5. They will need some AC charging to charge overnight. Once the person starts working in the morning, they're ready to go. So that's something that we can already start doing. E-trucks, I would say it's not at the peak. It's probably about its 25% right now in the market where it's starting. We already had some tractions last year, electrifying Volvo and et cetera. But this is something that it will pick up anyway. And the majority of the manufacturers are already pushing their heavy transportation to become electric. Next, please. Charging point operators. This is something that we can offer in terms of spot on sale. In terms of finance, it hasn't been defined, it hasn't been approved, but I will explain it just in case you do come to an opportunity where someone might tell you, hey, there's an opportunity where the landlord has space and they want to install 15, 20, 35 EV chargers. They don't have the money or they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with the hassle. So they will say, I want a company to come and fully install the chargers, operate them, manage them, and maintain them. And what do they get out of it? They will have a land lease of 15 to 20 years. So we're still building the model. It's in progress. But if you do get an opportunity of such, we might look into it depending on how big the business is and the opportunity for us. We might go direct or through a stewardship model that we're actually considering. We might partner or we might do a joint venture with someone else, either a CPO or a partner that wants to come and invest in the actual business. Like I said, it hasn't been approved. We're still looking at it, but it's something where if it does go through, it will be something really, really, really big, and it'll change the whole scope of ground control energy solutions because it'll be diverted into a completely different business strategy just for the CPO model. And at the bottom, you can see 4 to 6 hours meet a client SLAs. That's just something that we put here. If Ross is here or anyone from the maintenance, they will know that that's something that we would like to get to within the next 3, 4 months. So those would be the type of SLAs that we would like to meet. Next slide, please. So solar PV and battery storage. Solar PV, yes? No? Solar PV and battery storage. Solar PV, we already have accredited internally installation engineers that can carry out this work. They've been trained and they're certified. We're still waiting for a certification fully to be certified to be an installer and get the certified for the solar PV. We are basically going to be partnering up with either solar install company that already has and carry out work. And this is not just limited to commercial. We'll come in, yes, if it's small enough, for whatever job it is, we'll consider even residential right now. Battery storage, this is something very popular now where you can do it in 2 different ways. You can do a cabin with several batteries and store and create electricity and either sell it back to the grid, sell it back to the community, local community, or keep it in store for peak hours. Or you can use it where there is a constraint in the grid and you need to get enough energy for the peak hours, store it directly and put it back to your building, or you use it to charge your electric vehicles. When I mentioned about the finance options for the solar with the battery storage, we can either partner up with companies and offer them a PPA purchase power agreement where it could either be a 15-year or 20 years, and they will pay a fixed fee. and that would include the installation of the solar PV, the maintenance, and obviously the operational side, the software. So that's something that we could also offer. Now, there will be further slides, not today, but we'll be sitting down with the BD team to explain what does this mean, how to do it, who we can target with this kind of information, and how to portray that ground control is just not a simple installer. We can also, we're diversifying our folder to become one of the biggest, I would say, energy management company slash provider in the energy world, hopefully within the next 3 to 5 years. Next, please. Next. Okay. So decarb of the buildings. This is something that originally it's going to be starting as of now. We're going to have one person responsible for this. This has a lot to do with the replacement of pumps, smart lighting upgrades, HVAC, BMS, load monitoring. We're going to be replacing motors as well. This is going to be a lot of cross-selling internally within, I would say, our top 200 blue clients that we have. Also, sister company that we had a meeting with today. But there'll be a dedicated slide just for this that we're going to be obviously, once the presentation is done and completed, we can share with everyone, because it's not just going to be a 10-page slider. We'll get into details of what we can offer, how we can offer, and how we are going to be delivering specifically for the decarb business. Next, please. So maintenance. Maintenance, I would say we're still at an early age, but in our brainstorming meetings that we have and personnel count, we are going to be, hopefully, in the near future, have an internal team to carry out maintenance work. We've already have an opportunity now with a company called Autel. They're EV charging infrastructure, and they're asking for a company to come in and do their maintenance out of hours, which means 24/7. So if an opportunity like this comes and you guys get asked, not just for the EV, but also for the solar, for the battery, do you guys do maintenance on it? Or for the building, you guys do any kind of maintenance work on it? Of course, like I said, we're diversifying our business segments, and we're going to be tapping into every single one. That means offering not just the inspections, not just the call out service. Call out service and the package will be obviously tailored to every client need. If we get a bus depot that's running 24/7, obviously the SLAs are going to be 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, and the price is going to be completely different than to a simple home installation for a home charger where they require a inspection every 2 years by law. But like I said, a tailor-made maintenance package for every type of business. Next. And that's it, you guys. 22 minutes. This is Ground Control Energy Solutions. If you guys have any questions or any doubts, please, I don't know if we have time now to do the Q&A or however you guys are going to run this, Chloe. And
yeah, I mean, you've got 8 minutes left in the time. If anyone's got any questions, chuck them in the chat. Okay, there is a comment in the chat. There is a comment in the chat from Angelina, which I'm not sure is a question or a comment, if I'm honest. There's also something there from Steve.
Can you hear me? Yeah, for some reason I can't use the chat. Martin,
okay. So there's a question from Justine, which is what's the rollout plan for the services? And I think Brian is going to ask a question as well.
Yeah. So my question, Martin, is do we have a customer-facing sales collateral type deck that we can start using for customers? And if so, where do we get it? And if not, when's it going to be available, please?
Very good question. We're working on it yesterday with the marketing team, and hopefully, I don't want to give you a specific date, but we will try to have a first draft, obviously reviewed by Daniel by Thursday, Friday next week. And by the end of the month, we should have the final draft. So yes, that's something that we're working with the marketing team.
Okay, certainly before the end of the month would be great. Thanks very much indeed, Martin. Thank you, Chloe.
I guess that's a similar question as well to Justine's question around timing. Any other questions before we finish off? Awesome. Thank you very much, Martin. I will make the recording available for anyone who wants to catch up afterwards. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you.